everybody, this is the Retro Bear once again back in the gaming pantry for a special collection video, and we have finally cracked it. Yes, we are actually going to go with the biggest collection that I have, and I've been putting this off for quite some time, but there does appear to be a bit of a shall we say, renaissance at the moment. All the people are sort of putting these collection videos up left, right and centre, particularly for this system. So why not put mine up? But obviously this is going to be the first part of many, and even I didn't realise how many this may be of. I have absolutely no idea. This could go on for years. Anyway, welcome to the Gaming Pantry. If you are here for the first time, thank you very much indeed for tuning in. If you are a returning visitor, subscriber, viewer, thank you very much indeed for your continued support. Let us address the game in the room. It is Batman on the Mega Drive, because it was plugged in. You may have seen this on a Pickles video a couple of weeks ago, which I got from a shop local to us called, what's it called now? Old School Gaming. I went up there with Retro Kit, so yeah, this is Batman on the Mega Drive. That loops around nicely. Some really nice digitisation on this as well. I noticed when I watched a video of it, putting it the first time. Very nice image. You've got Batman, you've got the Joker, you've got Vicky Vale. I think that's the only one they do. And it sort of plays some bits in the game. So hopefully you'll enjoy watching that. But we are here to discuss, in some people's views, the evil of the day. In other people's views, it's actually not that bad. And in my view, it seems to be the console that I shall ever be... shall forever, excuse me, I'm reaching for some coffee, forever be associated with. And I'm not sure why. Any ideas? No, I can't work it out either. Oh, I'll put it too far behind me. Oh, God. Oh, I always get these things prepared before you start, but you have seen the Pac-Man t-shirt, there you go. It's this one. It is the Wii. It is the Nintendo Wii. I'm not going to put it on there because it just sort of whitens everything out. See, that brightens back up again. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know. But all the lights on in here and everything. That's on, that's on, that's on. Oh, dear. It's that time of year into you start filming this thing when you've got to close the curtains early in the afternoon because it's dark outside. Yeah, the Wii. One of the most popular selling consoles of all time. Now, I probably use the word popular incorrectly there. One of the biggest selling consoles of all time. Whether it's popular or not, I don't know. But at one point, you couldn't get these for love or money. What is it? Well, it's a disc-based games machine. It doesn't do a lot else. Now, bear in mind, when this was launched at the same time, same era as the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, they were more concerned with what can we do in terms of sort of like media add-ons like HD, DVD, and Blu-ray. This thing didn't do anything like that at all. It's got applications on it. You're connected to the internet, which is something else you can play online. There's some services you've got to download it. There's the wonderful Nintendo eShop, which did so well. They released so many of the classic games off the NES, the SNES, and the N64 onto the Nintendo eShop. You can download. You can still do that now. Other games from other systems as well. I think some Mega Drive and Master System stuff on there possibly. Yeah, it doesn't look overly exciting, does it? It's just a bit of white plastic, but it's not black, which is certainly an improvement. Xbox 360 started with a sort of creamy colour, wasn't it, I think? So what you got at the front there, you got a couple of, so you got your on button, I think that's the eject button there. No, that's not the eject button, that's the reset button. So that's the on button, the reset button, and there's the eject button. You've got this little, God, yeah, where that came from. No, other people edit that out, I leave it in. Yeah, I'm feeling alright, just a bit of a dry atmosphere in here. We've got a SD card slot at the front, and there's also a button there which you can pair your remote controls with, which we'll get to a bit later on. Round this side here, there's a vent. We like vents. There's some serial numbers on there. Which do you want the serial? I always read the serial number. LEH 18083843, and I think that's got a 1 on the end of it in the box. There's the back of it. Some more vents, but you've also got your power cable. That's where you plug your connection for the telly. Some also some USB, because you'll need those. And that's also where the remote, the sensor goes in the sensor bar, which is up there. So you have to plug that onto your telly in a position where it will recognise the remote control, which we'll get to in a second. The other side is white. Well, it's not actually all white, is it? Because you have this. Now, this is the early model. And what you've got there is some GameCube add-ons, because this, when it first came out, it was backwards compatible with the GameCube, which is probably why your GameCube games are still expensive. So you've got the 2 slots there for the memory cards, and you've got the 4 controller ports that go in there. And of course, at the front, that's where your disc is in. Now, interestingly about this is one of the real problems that the Wii had is these gates broke off. I don't think these, and this is the third Wii I've got, are actually immune to that. They are on at the moment, but they probably at some point will fall off. I've got one missing that one, I've got one missing that one. They aren't hard to find, but it's nice to have one in complete condition. So that is the unit there. So again, is it heavy? It is heavy. It's heavier than it looks. It shouldn't be as heavy as that, I think. Now, what about the controller? Well, this is where we all start getting, this all starts getting a bit interesting, doesn't it? Because it's a motion sensor. So you've got the bar up there. Why am I telling you about this? You should know about this, by. If you don't know what a Wii is, really, I don't know. But anyway, sensor bar at the top. You've got a thing on the end there, which is infrared, and the idea is that this sort of corresponds with that which moves your cursor around, or character, or whatever you're doing with it. There's your controller, which you're not going to be able to see because it's white. I'll have to hold it there so you can see that there's a D-pad at the top, there's an A button in the middle, there's the controls in the middle there, which are for the menus. You've got your 2 fire buttons, and they've all got a power controller on the back. What you could also do with this is turn it sideways. And actually, so you're holding it like a classic sort of NES controller. So you've got your D-pad there, so I whack the microphone, D-pad there, and buttons there. And you can do that, and I think some of the Mario games play like that. Also attached to it is a bit of string, which is... do you remember when people bought these, and there was a mass sort of inundated rush of people breaking their televisions? Was there? Yes, there was. And it still happens today, because I know, because that's sort of the work I deal with. The idea is you put this wrist strap on, and then you sort of, I'm not going to demonstrate for you now because I can't. No, there you go, you sort of tighten that around your wrist, and the idea is that this is then, that's it, do that, secure to your wrist. So if you start flinging this around like a mad fool, you're unlikely to break your television. Depending, of course, on how tight that actually goes, because I've just done that there and it's already come loose. But the amount of people who just didn't bother with that, just held it in hands, whoops, slips out the hand, cracked television, lots of tears, and new television's required. If your insurance company will cover it. And you've got to attach this bit here, which is another controller, which, as you'll see, is a really funny little thing. It's called... Now, bear in mind that in the 1990s, or the late 80s, early 90s, we weren't allowed to have Ninja Turtles, right? Because the word ninja was not acceptable. So Nintendo brings out a controller called a nunchuck, and everybody thinks that's perfectly acceptable. Well, it's not even like a nunchuck. You can't kill anybody with it. You probably cause somebody a slight injury with it. It's got a little analog stick on top, and there's a couple of buttons at the bottom. Most games will not allow you to start unless it's plugged in. Okay, not all games need this. But if you've got like attachments like, say, the Wii Zapper, where I'm not going to get all that stuff out because that may come later on. I've just got peripherals for the Wii because I've got crap loads of those. That sort of plugs into the Zapper, and then that plugs into the Zapper, and then you're sort of moving a gun around, so you're moving that as a sight, and yeah, that sort of thing works. But you need to imagine there's a big plastic gun type thing there as well. You could buy all sorts of shit added on top of this: tennis racket bits, baseball bat bits, golf club bits, because you're playing certain games, and if that for some reason would make the game experience any better. There was even when I think the Twilight Princess came out, there was like a shield and a sword attachment to go with it, which I should have got from a car boot years ago, but I never did, purely because I'd have no idea what to do with it. But you can get stuff, all sorts of weird crap for it. But that's the Wii. Everyone says there's loads of weird crap on it. How did I come across a Wii for the first time? If that's not a rude question, it isn't a rude question. That's your imagination and mine running wild. I first came across a Wii probably not long after they came out. A friend of ours picked one up and had Wii Sports with it. Now everybody who played in the Wii played Wii Sports, right? You either loved Wii Sports or you didn't. You either thought it was really, really good and you went out and bought one, or you thought it was just rubbish. That was what it was. It was that camp or that camp. There was no middle ground, right? So if we're talking middle here, you were either there or there. There was none of this, where my head is. There was nobody here. We were either on one side or the other. Loads of people went out and bought a Wii based on Wii Sports. My dad bought a Wii based on Wii Sports. It's still stuck in his cupboard at home. It hadn't come out since my sister came back from New Zealand 10 years ago, and she's been back 3 times since then. But that's what people did. They went out and bought one, and it just gathered dust. Because you only play 1 or 2 games on it, you wouldn't bother buying anything else for it. So hardened gamers sort of shied away from it. It's a kid's console, there's a gimmick attached to it. There's loads of shovelware for it. What's shovelware? Shovelware is just the lowest form of common denominator in software, and you'll see a lot of shovelware in these videos. But that's not to say that the Wii was completely and utterly exempt from having that as a problem itself. The PlayStation 2 probably had more shovelware on it. PlayStation 2 had a library double the amount of the Wii. Now, if that's the case, there's going to be a lot of crap on there. The Xbox, probably not so much so. Well, the 360, yes, probably, but the Xbox original, not so much, because they had less smaller library, and they didn't have sort of the licensing exclusives that PlayStation did have. So when you got to the Wii, basically a lot of games that went on to the Wii were old sort of PlayStation 2 games bolted on with the motion control attached. Let's make a game 5 years ago and let's bring it up to date, but just add some motion controls to it and sell it and make a quick buck. You will see a lot of stuff like that here. And I get annoyed about that, because that really, really does annoy me, because that's what people look at when they see the Wii. They tend to sort of get to that point, a lot of kids' games, a lot of shovelware, a lot of motion control party games, not interested. There's no good games for it. There are good games for it. I put a video out a few weeks ago when I showed some of my Wii games off. I think I did a 2. I did a live stream with Cooper's World, and I did the 500 subscriber special, and I put some of my better Wii games, the really good games I got with the Wii on there, and everybody, sort of was very positive about them. You might be less positive about some of these, but we'll have to see as we go on. So we got a Wii. I started talking about the tangent there. We haven't had a tangent for a while, have we? There's a tangent. So we played on one, and then my friend, I think she bought about 5 or 6 games for it, and then it sort of gathered dust. Mrs. Bear was absolutely adamant you're not having one. Now, bear in mind at the time, I was less into gaming than I am now, so we're sort of talking 2007. I really wasn't that much into it. I was probably maybe about 12, 15 months off me sort of starting collecting retro games again. So, we all had ups and downs. Some people don't, but a lot of people sort of dip in and dip out of this hobby. And I dipped out at this point. Well, I still was playing. I still got a GameCube. No, I still got the Xbox. I got some ROMs on the laptop I was playing on. So I was still, dabbling. I was still playing PC games and Football Manager games. Still dipping into all that, but not so much sort of console gaming. So, not having one. Then a couple of years later, 18 months, maybe even 12, 18 months later, our friend was moving flat. And we went along to give her a hand. And, let me just press this button down here. There we go. That's now running in 60 hertz, by the way. 50 hertz. Get me out of the way. 50 hertz. Head. There we go. 50 hertz. 60 hertz. It's a Mrs. Bear modified Mega Drive. Anyway, moving on from that. So she was moving flat. Our friend was moving flat, and we had to move this giant sofa, which was not only made of leather, but also had this massive sort of metal undercarriage welded to it, and having to take about 3-4 flights of stairs or something up to a block of flats. Anyway, at the end of it, she had got no interest in having this Wii knocking around. She said, "Oh, well, you can see how quick that is, by the way." She said, "Oh, well, you can have it. I'll have the Wii, as a thank you." I was like, "Oh, great, fantastic, And then that sat on my shelf for goodness knows how long. And it was basically sort of tucked away. I did buy a few games for it in the sort of preceding 7 years or so that we'd probably had it. But at one point, I had no more. You see where my spice tin is? There we go. That was a number of games I had there on that shelf. I had no more than maybe 10 Wii games when I put this games room together. I've actually got a sticker up there which says Nintendo Wii just under the new tat sign. Right, that was where my Wii games were. Just one section of 10. 10, 12, that was it. That's all I had in 2016. And then I started doing what a lot of people do with the Wii. They want to sort of pick games up, which I'm guessing are the ones that they want for the system. People will probably tell you there's 100 games on the Wii that they, most collectors will probably, or gamers want to pick up the good games, and that'll be about it. I don't know. I think it's a bit light. But that was what I wanted to do. I thought, well, I'm going to pick up the games that I want to play. So this is what you do. If you're a collector, this is what sort of thing you need to be doing. Are you going for a full set or not? If you're not going for a full set, pick up the games that you want to play. Don't do what I do, because that's my gimmick. Go and get your own gimmick. So I started doing that. I started picking up the odd game here or there, and then all of a sudden I went to CEX or Game or whatever it was. Game was still selling Wii games back then. And all of a sudden, all these games were like dirt cheap. There were so many games that were like 50p or a quid. And 25, CX at the time was still doing 25p games. So 2016, 25p, 50p, 75p, a quid. There were so many of them. I thought, and this is what started my sort of my descent into stupidity, I suppose. No, my descent into collecting en masse. Because I can go out with 20 quid. I've told these stories many times. I can go out with 20 quid. And I could come back with 30, 40 games for 20 quid. And, somebody who likes games, likes being surrounded by plastic boxes. Just because I like full shelves and I like how it all looks behind me. Other people collect books. You go to a library, there are books everywhere. This is like the equivalent of a library, and on a much smaller scale, and on a much less organised scale. Well, it's pretty organised, it's in alphabetical order, but that's how it happens. That's how easy it was. There was so much stuff there. And honestly, again, not all these games were complete rubbish. Some of them were. Well, most of them were. But not some. Don't judge a game by its price tag. You might want to chase the expensive games. Oh, I've got a really expensive game there. Sometimes, hard to find games are still quite cheap. Some other games just seem to hold their value for some reason. I can never work it out. And that was it. So that's where I started. And with probably in the space of when I started this channel, when I started doing YouTube in 2018, the PlayStation 2 wall, which is there, wasn't there. I'm desperately trying to remember where the Wii stuff was. And I think it was probably, behind me here was a combination of Commodore 64 and then some PlayStation 2. And I think then down towards the bottom, the Wii stuff was there, but eventually this has become the home for the Wii. Although it did it end up over there? Did it start life there? No, it's always been there. It's always, that has really been the, people refer to it as the wall of Wii, which is very much of a term of endearment. It is the wall of Wii. It sits behind me on these videos, has sat behind me now for a good sort of couple of years now since I changed the camera angle around about September, October 2018. So that's how it happened. And that's sort of like 3 years worth of me sort of buying Wii games. Questions I always get asked is, are you going for a full set? I'd like to go for a full set. I can't commit myself to a full set because I don't think I'll ever get there. Things are working against me. Time. Some of the games I'm just going to balk at tracking down or picking up. Time. Age is another one. That's another one. Because if certain games I need because me to hop around like a loon. I don't know. I'm not really sort of my hopping around days like a loon possibly are behind me now. I don't know. COVID's very much against me at the moment. I'm recording this in the midst of on the verge of a second lockdown here in England. So that sort of timestamps this as you're watching this in 15 years into the future. Hopefully in 15 years in the future. I may have completed the Wii collection by then. But yes, there's a lot of things working against me. So would I do it? I don't know. The problem is I find now at the moment is wherever I go into and they've got Wii games, I've got them. And that's the problem. You've got 600 and as many as that. You've got a lot of them. There's probably another 500 and something or other, possibly 550 to 600 that are slightly more difficult to pick up or see on a regular basis. But again, some of them are a lot cheaper. I haven't got all the games under a quid that are on CX website. I've got most of them. I've got a fair lot of them. But that was it. That's when I first started doing collecting on the budget because I could do it. You can go out and pick up. They're not just Wii games, just PlayStation 2 and Xbox and what have you. But that was it, and it was like literally go out with that, come back with a sack of like 30 games for 20 quid, maybe even more games, 40 games for 20 quid. I don't know. That's it. So what we're going to do and this is how it's going to get really, really started. Before we get to that, very, very quickly, there's loads of peripherals for the Wii. As I mentioned, the plastic stuff adding onto it. There's some collector's sets which I'm going to dig out, which may sort of go into peripherals video as well. What I'm going to do in these Wii collection videos, like I said, there are so many of these games that it's going to take me forever to get through them. So I'm probably going to do a couple of letters at a time in the alphabet. That means it's probably going to be, depending on how many I've got. I was going to do this video numbers 0 to 9, A and B, until I realised that how many were in A before I'd even got to B, and then I saw C and D, and I thought that's going to be So we'll have to try and do it that way and split it down. It's not a case of sort of like using that to make as much content as possible. It's just that I can't just sort of sit there and do it justice if I don't do it and show each game and at least have 10 seconds that game on here. Some people may want to see what they got. I appreciate what other people have done. I know Eddie did a really, really good one in under an hour, I think it was. He got way more Wii games than I thought he had. But that was like, a handful of games. I've probably got about 8 times the amount of stuff he had there. I'm thinking, well, if that's an hour, this might be another, and then all of a sudden you start thinking. So, and I know people have wanted to see this. I was going to try and do Xbox possibly or PlayStation 2 first, but people have always asked me, when are you going to do the Wii collection? When are you going to do the Wii collection? People asked me about the 360 one, and I did that, and that went across 5 videos, and that was only 200 and something games. I think the PlayStation 3 was 2 videos, was it? I think we whizzed through that one. Whizzed through it, a couple of hours at least. So strap yourself in. The ones that'll follow this up will just be strictly me doing games. So I will just be sort of doing a couple of letters of the alphabet and going through. Depending on how many I've got, if I've got not many in certain letter, I'll probably try and fit a few more in. But no. So today we're going to do 0 to 9 and A. And 0 to 9 is anything with a number at the start of it. Again, this is another thing, the meticulous way of keeping these things all done in sort of, hopefully, alphabetical order. So I'm going to show all three of these, and someone goes over and says, you got that in the wrong order. Yes, I probably have done, but anyway. Shall we start then? Because that's what you're here for, isn't it? You want to see these. People have been asked this for absolutely ages. Here we go. There should be a drum roll. I can't do a drum. Can I do a drum roll? First game we're going to start with then. And this is 0. And you'll see why, because it says 007 Quantum of Solace on it. Now, of course, those people have seen my Quantum of Solace video on the Xbox 360. What's also going to be interesting about this as well is going through and see how many of the games have got manuals, because I can't remember. I know there are some in here that haven't got manuals. I know I'm a picky sod now when it comes to manuals, and if you see my recent Master System pickups, we'll realise that. But yeah, this is also another interesting fact-finding missing, because I've got no idea how many manuals I'm missing. I'm hoping it's not many. Anyway, this does have a manual. It also has a safety guide as well. I know those are important. I'm not going to show you every single safety guide. Nice sort of white-looking disc there with a nice sort of logo on it. I have played this, and again I'll try and indicate if I can remember if I've played any of them. Some of them I've played. Excuse me. This one I don't like as much as the Xbox 360 one. It's again, you'll find this with a couple of the shoot 'em ups when we get down the line. First-person shooters, when we get further on down the line, they are pared-down versions because the Wii simply hadn't got the capabilities the other systems had. It wasn't HD for a start. So a lot of these are going to be sort of like poor representations. Are they good games or not? I don't know. That one I didn't like as much as the 360 version I played on Barely Played series a few weeks ago. So, Quantum of Solace. Again, not particularly expensive to pick up. I'll try and indicate if a game is particularly expensive or not, if I can remember. I'm sorry, but I can't remember what I paid for a lot of these. Not a lot. There are some expensive ones in there. I've shown some of those off before, but I will tell you that a lot of these games you will see here probably cost me, a couple of quid and under, if that. What have we got next? We've got the 2010 FIFA World Cup South Africa, which again I have played. And you think, how on earth can you put a game like this on the Wii because of the control system? Well, believe it or not, there's a nice looking disc there as well. I know Martin likes looking at these discs, so there's one there for you, mate. It is very interesting. I mean, there's a whole range of football games. There's FIFA games, Pro Evolution games for the Wii. And there's Madden games for the Wii as well. And it's so interesting to see how they've coordinated it. And to be honest with you, using a series of flicks and sort of movements and pressing the button. It does work, and if you're tired of playing FIFA games on the 360 and the Xbox, 360 and the Xbox Series and the PlayStation Series, you want to play on something different, and it's not going to cost you a bloody fortune, pick up some of the earlier sort of FIFA Pro Evolution games on the Wii. There are a couple, I think. FIFA's 13, 14, 15, on the pricey side, you'll be paying a few quid for them, but basically anything else before that, I think Pro Evolution went to, I think, 13. They're not overly expensive. Madden games aren't overly expensive. If you want a different way of playing them to how you used to, pick them up. Worth having a go. So that 2010 World Cup South Africa. Not memorable for any reason at all. Right. You Can Dance, ABBA. There we go. I think you can also... Can you sing on this one as well? I think you can. No, I think this is just dance, isn't it? Oh, no, you can dance and sing along to ABBA's greatest hits. Now, that game, when I picked it up, was relatively cheap. I think during lockdown, it sort of shot to 6 to 8 quid, which is bizarre. And there's a lot of games like this, singing and dancing and all sorts going on. There's a flyer in there for Mamma Mia, the smash hit musical. Oh, yes. And we have full manual and safety guide, and also a very simple looking disc. There we go. I'd like to say who doesn't like ABBA, but a lot of people don't like ABBA. I was watching a documentary the other day, and they're saying that ABBA at the time weren't highly regarded as they are and sort of held in esteem now. But yes, experience the magic of ABBA with up to 4 friends. Have the time of your life. Having the time of your life. See that girl. 26 timeless songs from ABBA. There's a lot of them, isn't there? I'm sure there are. Do you want me to read them all out? No, I'm not going to do that. Because it doesn't tell you. It doesn't actually tell you. Yeah, it tells you you've got Dancing Queen, Mamma Mia, Waterloo. I'm sure all your ABBA favourites are on that one. So there we go. So ABBA, You Can Sing and Dance. I've shown this one off before, so this won't be too much of a surprise for the people. This is A Boy and His Blob. Now, this is a fantastic game. It's a remake of the NES game original. Can't remember the guy's name there who did it. Might tell me in the back it doesn't. I'm sure it's David somebody. Might not be, I don't know. I'm thinking David Crane, but I'm not sure that's the right answer. Anyway, you can see by the styling on the front cover, that is how the game looks. Now, the Wii has some pretty fantastic looking games, it has to be said. And this is definitely one of them. And this is one of the more expensive games. Usually 8 to 12 quid CEX be paying for this. I'd probably expect to pay a tenner for it if you saw it, if you picked it up on eBay or something like that, maybe a little bit more. And get a nice disc on it. It is not a game that you come across quite often, so if you do see it, pick it up. Great platforming action. You've got a little blob which you feed jelly beans to, and he changed into... You ever see the cartoon, the New Shmoo years ago? Little white blob. Same sort of thing. It changed into sort of objects that you can use to get parts passed in the games of balloons, parachutes, step ladders, things like that. Really, really good game. If you've not played the original, pick that up. But like I said, it is not an easy one to find. You don't come across it all that often. Right, it's a bag of crap. Academy of Champions Football. This is awful. This is readily available for 50p. Please buy it and burn it. Featuring Pele. And I'm not sure whether he'd be more embarrassed at endorsing this or those Viagra adverts he was doing. And this is from Ubisoft. You'll see Ubisoft quite a lot on the Wii. And that's not usually a good thing. It's got one of those awful game labels stuck on it. But again, nice looking, nice printing on the disc. It looks vibrant, it doesn't look boring. This is a pretty rotten football game, I've got to say. But also what's interesting about it is it uses Ubisoft characters in some of the games. So when you actually end up playing on the pitch, there's the back of it, it says Pele's in there. I played this once, I played it for nearly an hour, struggling to score a goal. I'm not sure what I was doing. Obviously wasn't doing it very well because it took me an hour to try and score a goal. But you can play, it says, meet special guest stars with super skill. So people from Ubisoft games appear in this game. And you've got the Rayman Raving Rabbids are in here. Also, Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell. And I'm pretty sure that's the character from Assassin's Creed there, if you look. On the far... sort of there. I can't get that close, I'm afraid, but I'm pretty sure that's an Assassin's Creed, the Assassin's Creed character in an Ubisoft game. Yes, but so I have absolutely no idea what they were doing. I have absolutely no idea. It's readily available. It doesn't cost you an awful lot of money. It's not particularly good. Speaking of not particularly good, and this is where we start hitting some problems. Well, not problems. We start hitting well-known, for want of a better word, shit software houses. This is Action Girl Racing. Now it's from, if you know, there's Popcorn Arcade, which is commonly more known as Data Design Interactive, who are a company based not very far away from where I live, who were notorious for making games like this, simply to cash in on the Wii. It's got those rotten game stickers on there. It's got the traditional Popcorn Arcade yellow disc in there, so we'll see a few more of these along the way. Again, it's got the safety manual in, so everybody... I've actually got 2 safety manuals in. There we go. I'll stop mentioning safety manuals. It's got a pre-owned sticker on the back as well, which is going to be taken off. But yeah, this is a kart racing game, and not a very good one. In fact, it's not even not a very good one. It's worse than that. The controls are terrible. It's badly designed, poor game. With respect to the girls on the front cover, I don't think they've been drawn particularly favourably either. I don't know. It's the only racing game designed by girls for girls. I don't want to knock. I don't know. That's probably not true. I hope it's not true because it's a terrible game, and I don't want to be sort of. I'm knocking that, but oh no, it handles like a bag of potatoes. It really the steering is awful on it, and there's no sort of challenge. There's no sort of you play a kart racing game. We've all played kart racing games. Play this one, you never play one ever again. Terrible. We shall not. That's not last that we shall see a Popcorn Arcade. That is for sure. Right now, this is a sort of interesting sort of thing. I know some people love these sort of point and click and sort of adventures. And this is Agatha Christie, Evil Under the Sun. Now, there's 2 Agatha Christie games. I haven't got the other one. I can't remember what it's called now. It's got a blue cover, but they aren't cheap. Usually, you can expect to pay about at least £6 to £8 for these. Not sure why I'd want to, because it's not my sort of thing really, but there we go. It's a nice red disc on that one, Evil Under the Sun. And you are Detective Hercule Poirot. I've always wanted to be Poirot. No, I haven't. I'm not sure if it's a point-and-click adventure. I'm guessing it probably is. Become the world-renowned Belgian detective Poirot in this latest video game adaptation of the Queen and Crime's best-selling novel, Evil Under the Sun. Again, my eyes are terrible, so I can't actually read it. An all-new ending to the original mystery keeps you in suspense for hours. Interact with 20 unique characters, each with their own... motives. But yeah, so it's interesting to see a game like that on the Wii, because, well, yes, it's not the sort of game I'd sort of expect to see on there, but... yeah, but again, they're not cheap, these ones. They will cost you a little bit. I don't see them all that often either, so if you do see them, pick them up now. Talk about shovelware and rubbish. This covers both of them. Alan Hansen's Sports Challenge. Can't think of anything more uninteresting than that. And it is just basically a quiz game about sport. There is nothing special about this. There's no clips in there. I played it once. There's no clips. It is just simply a series of questions with a sort of computer-generated Alan Hansen talking to you in between. It's a serious sport, serious challenge, serious fun. No, it isn't. If you know sport, it's a waste of... This, I think, came out on PlayStation 2 as well. Honestly, yeah, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Who made that one? Oxygen Games. Well done, Oxygen Games. I'm not sure how much they paid Mr. Hansen for doing that. Probably way too much. Now, this one is a remake of an old Sega game, so he immediately gets sort of excited. Ooh, old Sega game, that sounds alright, doesn't it? It doesn't quite work, and it's Alien Syndrome. Now, Alien Syndrome, for those of you who don't know, was sort of like a top-down sort of maze arcade, sort of walk around and shoot the aliens and try and rescue the hostages and make the exit. Sort of like Gauntlet. If you don't know what Gauntlet is, then you won't know what Alien Syndrome is. I was going to say Alien Breed as well. It was sort of a bit like that. But it was, interesting, enough. It would convert every single home micro, 60, Commodore 64, Amstrad, Spectrum, Amiga, ST. It was on the Master System as well. I think, not sure it made it to the, did it make it to the NES? I'm not sure. But it certainly made it onto the Master System anyway. And it was not a bad little sort of game. Nothing groundbreaking, but it was quite good. This one tries to sort of do it differently. And it doesn't quite work. It sort of gives you an isometric behind the view angle, top down. And, I mean, it's curiously good. If you remember Alien Syndrome, you'll probably be a bit disappointed with it. But a new gamer who's never heard of Alien Syndrome will probably approach this from a fresh point of view. Not particularly hard to pick up, not particularly expensive to pick up. It's probably, if you were sort of to say, where would this sort of sit? If I was to say, to older gamers, this probably would have got a score of somewhere between 60 and 70% in a computer magazine back in the 80s and 90s. Then you'd be sitting there thinking, that's, it's one of those, try it, you may like it. The great thing about this is probably not, you maybe spend a couple of quid picking it up, and if it's no good, then you'll just trade it back and you'll donate to the charity, so I don't know. Yeah, disappointing, that one. A little bit disappointing. If you remember the original, that's what it is. Right. There are some great games on this system, isn't there? Absolutely great games on this Wii. All-Star Cheerleader. And who asked me about, I think it was Ross, the Xbox 360 collector, asked me about cheerleading games. There's at least 3 I can think of on the Wii. This is one of them. And it's balance board compatible. Now, the balance board, then again, if you don't know what, when Wii Fit came out, they bought a board out to go with it, which sold out. You couldn't get them for months. Now you can't go to a car boot without tripping over them. Piles them everywhere. But they shot up during lockdown when we had the UK wide lockdown in March. That price they went from about 10 quid to double the price overnight. Great for me. I've got 2 of them. I've got one in the box. Bought one in a box, a car boot years and years ago. A little girl cheered after I managed to take it home with me. Hooray, the Wii Fit board's been sold. As I regularly get things shouted at me when I'm out and about. So we've got All-Star Cheerleader. Again, not an expensive game to pick up. Have I played it? No. I played quite a few of those, but I have not played this one. You can do all sorts. Perform real-world cheer moves, choreograph your own routines, design your cheerleaders, join the squad, and be the cheerleader of your dreams. Many, many times we've sat up thinking that. Yeah. Not overly expensive, not overly hard to pick up. It's from THQ, so it's not going to be brilliant. Not only that, was that out, but also they were so successful they brought out another one, which is All-Star Cheerleader 2. What? Yes. So successful they brought out a sequel. Again, equally inexpensive to pick up if you have a desire to be a cheerleader. Cheer your way to international victory. I'm not even sure these games have actually got any sort of original music in them or not. I hope they would have. Should we just have a quick look? There's no safety manual in this one, by the way. But we've got a manual. I'm just trying... Oh, yes, I've got games. No, they haven't. I'm just trying to see if they've got any real music in it or not. So I know how you like me reading out the music tracks on these sort of things. No, it hasn't. It doesn't tell me. Whoops. So, yeah, All-Star Cheerleader 2. Only the best games on this system. So we're doing all right on the old manual front, aren't we? Staying with All-Star, we've got All-Star Karate, which is also from THQ. Now, I've not played this one, so I can't really comment. What have we got on this one? Oh, have we? Yes, we have. We've got a safety manual and a manual. All-Star Karate. The great thing about having the manual is it increases the price from, say, 20p to 50p automatically. And again, there aren't many sort of games like this. Karate Chop Your Way to Being a Black Belt. Is it balance board compatible? No, but you can be compatible with the Motion Plus. Again, something else I forgot to mention about this. They brought out a device later on which you could plug in, which actually became built into the newer Wii ones, new Wii controls. But the old ones, you actually had a device which you could pop into there, something called Wii Motion Plus, that actually would increase the sensitivity of the motion controls. So certain games came out needing the Wii Motion Plus, which is what this one says down the bottom there. However, newer remotes on the newer systems, or the pared down system, came out already the Wii Remote, Wii Motion built into it. Yeah, we've shown you that. So yeah, Karate Chop Your Way to Victory. Jump, kick and slice and chop the competition using either the Wii Remote and a nunchuck, or 2 Wii Remotes. Two, eh? That's interesting. I never know they had a game with 2 Wii remotes on there. So I'm not sure whether he'll be able to fight. It might be interesting to find out, that one. Possibly, I'll have a heart attack trying. Next up, a game which I think has got a terrible reputation, which is Alone in the Dark. It looked very impressive when it came out. There is a collector's edition of this, which is incredibly expensive. It's like a case. I knew a guy who had one, like a case or something to go with it. I don't know. This version is again, it's dirt cheap to pick up. But one thing I know about these discs, they all look, someone's had a decent effort on most of these. I think I played it briefly when I first had it because I thought it's got a terrible reputation. Excuse me. And I ain't quite sure whether I sort of enjoyed it or not. I don't know. But I must be honest with you, I never played it again since. So I'm guessing it didn't make that good an impression. But it is meant to be a pretty rotten game on every single system it came out to. But there's a big sort of excitement about it. There's a new Alone in the Dark game coming out. Oh, it's crap. We didn't see that coming. Didn't see this one coming either. Alvin and the Chipmunks. And believe it or not, there's another Alvin and the Chipmunks game for the Wii, which I haven't got. I think it's called the Squeakquel or something like that. Oh, God. I mean, I don't know if... the Chipmunks came out in the 50s. They were revived in the 80s. And I was part of that. And I flaming hated them. Absolutely hated them. Little bastards. And... just... And this is one of these. This example of shovel rubbish. Not shovelware, shovel rubbish. Take the stage like a chipmunk. I mean, what a stupid bloody phrase for a start. I mean, how many chipmunks do you know go on stage apart from these ones? They don't exist. They don't exist. It's very much sort of like motion, sort of rhythm. Rhythm game, so you're sort of like moving your remote control in time to the music or pressing a button or something that looks like that. Featuring 35 hit songs sung in that ridiculously high-pitched squeaking voice, which is worse than the Bee Gees. So ruining some of your favourite tracks such as Love Shack, the Chipmunk Song, All the Small Things, December, Heartbreak Hotel, can't even read that one, Walking on the Sun, I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles, Everything You Want, Come a Chameleon. God, can you imagine how they're going to sound? I don't know. I've never played it. I'm never going to play it. I don't know, I might play it. Here's a game I thought I'd never play, but I did. Go back and watch it. And there might be one of those little things up there now, which says previous video. It's America's Next Top Model. How could you not watch my gameplay video of that? Good grief, that was a long time, about 12 months ago that was. What a terrible idea. Again, this is just a simple example of just putting stuff out. And but don't forget the Wii wasn't exempt to this. This also came out on the DS as well. So it's not just exempt, not just the Wii which is going to get battered for it. Bizarrely, I've got 2 safety manuals, but no actual manual. So, there we go. That's the first one. First one without a manual. Which means I have to try and track it down and buy it again. This is just everything, all kinds of... everything that what people point out, all things that are wrong with the Wii, this is one of them. Here we go. It's terrible. There's just no gameplay factor to it whatsoever. You pick your outfits out, you then press buttons in time walking up and down a catwalk to get the walk right. You have to go and perform stupid little tasks. You end up having fights with people in the house. There's about 10 of you, 10 models in the house. You end up having fights with them. So this is really terrible sort of beat 'em up section. And then at the end of each week, you have to sort of perform on the catwalk as you turn to go through for the next week and do exactly the same thing all over again. It's horrible. But go and watch it because, the reason I play these games is that you don't have to. I always say it. I buy these and I play these so you don't have to. Go and watch that video and you'll see what I mean. Oh, dear me. Dear, oh dear. And it's the sort of game that is good on the Wii because of the control system. And this is AMF Bowling Pin Busters. I think there is another one, which is like a World Tour, which I think is much more expensive. I don't think I've got it on the PlayStation 2. But again, this is just simply using the Wii remote as a bowling device. It works very well. The Wii Sports one was brilliant. So I used to do a lot of bowling back in the mid to late 90s. I was pretty good at it. Well, I say pretty good at it, but, compared to standards, it was, I was a long way off. But, I used to enjoy going bowling and could regularly, score 180 to 200. So when I first played Wii Sports on bowling, I thought, yeah, this is really, really good. So these are the sort of games that work really, really well. We've got a manual and we've got a disc. But again, it's got some, sort of these comedy characters involved. There's a scantily dressed cowgirl on the back of it, which, it's not selling it to me. I don't know. Experience the excitement of lanes with AMF bowling pinbusters. Take the challenge alone in single player mode or strike up competition with up to 3 of your friends if you're lucky. Pinbusters caters to any gamer looking for pick up and play action in a party atmosphere. These are the sort of things that sort of sell the Wii for it, but you're not having a library of bowling games, are you? I don't go and buy a Wii so I can play bowling games. You go to the bowling alley and bowl properly. Now, what have we got here? There are 2 games in this franchise than Wii. One which is the trilogy, which is still quite an expensive game. This one's a lot cheaper to pick up. This is Angry Birds Star Wars. The Angry Bird trilogy, I think it's about 12 quid. This one you can pick up for under a £5. And I played this. I used to play this on my phone on the way to work when I was working in Birmingham. What was that now? Good old 6-7 years ago. Really, really, really good fun. And it's got obviously got the Star Wars characters to it. I'm not though, and again preoccupied by not actually picking up. There's no manual with this one, which is disappointing. So I should have got a manual. For some reason, there's 2 safety guides. In fact, that may just be the manual because it says here instructions for the game. Please see support Activision.com. So I don't know whether there's actually a manual for this. I'd have thought there would be. You'll have to let me know. Anyone knows about that one, let me know. But yeah, dirt cheap. It's Angry Birds in the Star Wars atmosphere, all sorts of Star Wars sound effects and characters. It's really, really good. It's worth it. And this is sort of thing that works reasonably well using the Wii remote. I think I preferred it on the phone, but for played that one before. It's also got exclusive new levels. It's quite cheap to pick up. Pick it up. It's worth it. I'll give it a go. Right, nearly coming to the end of the game. Now we've got some of the big hitters. This one has rocketed up in price in 2020. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. Animal Crossing, Let's Go to the City. Now, this is a standard version. There's also a box version with the Wii Speak, which was a device that I know very little about because I haven't got one. I think it was like a voice-activated thing that you'd sort of plug in, or you can talk to people over the internet. I don't know. I haven't got one, so I can't tell you. More people know about it more than that. But because Animal Crossing game, this game we had a new Animal Crossing game come out on the Switch. This game went from being sort of a £5 or £6 in CEX to 20 quid overnight. Literally. Shot up in price. It's only just coming down now. It's still somewhere between, I think, 10 and 20. And the box one is even more. It's got a manual. It's got one of those naughty game stickers on it. And they're pretty standard looking. These Animal Crossing games. Man, if you've never played an Animal Crossing game, and I've only briefly played these, they are the sort of games that sort of suck you in and very hard to get out of. That's why it's very difficult to play them and not play them. But yeah, I mean, it's just great fun. The Switch game just sort of sold bucket loads during the March, April this year when it came out, lockdown. And this is the same sort of thing. Building your life in a new town, loads of animals to interact with, raccoons, you name it, they're all in there. It's tremendously good fun, but if you didn't pick it up before March, you may have to pay a little bit more for it. Now, this is an interesting one. I was talking to somebody about this in an independent game shop a few weeks back. I've got a slight dent in the cover, which is slightly annoying. But this is another code R, A Journey into Lost Memories. I've always been intrigued by this sort of game. A girl's lost memories help her to unravel the mystery surrounding her mother's death. Read and solve like a mystery novel. And it's sort of done with those that sort of anime manga style. I think it's probably more anime than anything else, to be honest with you. I never get those two right. I can never say. I did say manga right this time as opposed to magna, which is cider. I'm trying to remember who's behind this game because I'm immediately sort of thinking of people like Atlas. No, I can't read. My eyes are getting worse. Doesn't even tell me who's sort of done this. But anyway, it's one of these sort of interactive puzzle games. It's got a very good reputation. Again, not a game you see out and about very often. Manual, which is white, which really going to cause a problem with the camera. And there's a disc. But yeah, I mean, it's a sort of game which you can sort of sit there and put hours into. I haven't done so. Again, I've just simply seen if it's all right. But I've always been intrigued by the title and the sort of story on it. So again, one day maybe I'll give that a go. That's another code art. I'm not sure if there's another game on the system for it. There may be. Right, our old friends Popcorn Arcade are back with Anubis 2. Now, I've seen this pop up in a couple of people's weed collection videos already. This is a game which we will see again and again and again and again. I think there were four incarnations of this, where they basically simply reskinned the graphics. Okay, lazy. There's no Anubis 1, which is also the other confusion about it. I think Anubis 2 was actually an Egyptian mythical god or something like that. I don't suppose it's called Anubis 2. But yeah, they just simply took the same game, reskinned the graphics for 3 other titles, put out the same game, I think with mostly the same music and slightly modified graphics. They're terrible games, they really are. You should just buy them to own them. I mean, that manual hasn't actually been touched, I think. It's in an incredibly good condition, that one. I just don't know how they got away with it. I really don't. And they're not particularly challenging games either. Some of the jump function cameras are terrible on them. It deserves a gameplay video of its own, but I'm not going to do it. This one looks all kind of fun. I haven't played it yet, and I picked it up probably maybe at the end of last year, start of this year, and I must have given it a go because it didn't cost me a huge amount. It's called Aqua Panic, which is quite funny because the colour looks like it's water damaged. But yeah, this is a puzzle game. I love puzzle games. And I think the idea on this one is you have to sort of create a safe path using water and avoiding all the sharks and things. And it looks like I've watched the video of this really sort of fun game to play. I don't think it's going to set any records for challenge or anything like that. But a huge cyclone has thrust all the fish out of the sea. Your mission is to save the fish and help them back into the ocean. 6 environments, 90 levels, 11 world tools, 1 adventure mode. Adventure spelled AVNTUR. God. Gives you an idea of the quality. Is it Ubisoft? No, it's Neko. Okay. But yeah, again, that's not an easy one to find. It's probably a couple of £3, but not too difficult to pick up. Not too easy to find that one. But yeah, I saw a video. I thought I really must play that. That was when I picked it up, and I haven't played it yet. I may do. I saw a gameplay of this the other day as well. This is Arctic Tale. Is it called an Arctic Tale? No, it's called Arctic Tale. I also it's called an Arctic Tale. It's from National Geographic through Zoo Games, and I think it was based on an American documentary, possibly. I remember reading something about it. It's one of those games that comes with 7 or 8 different languages on the back, which always means it's not very good. It's very much aimed at the younger market. This one, but it's complete with the manual. It's not too difficult to pick up and find. I think you control the polar bear when you go around. The Arctic and interact with other characters. There's a walrus there. It looks like it's and there's foxes and things, snow foxes and things. I can't even read it because it's just black on blue. Just doesn't work in this light, I'm afraid. But yeah, I don't know. Can't tell you about that one, but I don't think it's a hidden gem. This one is one of the very first games I picked up, and I've struggled to get the sticker off the front of this. Which really reminds me, I must try and get around and take this sticker off. This is Ashes Cricket 2009, which I picked up for 20p, as you can see. There we go. One of the very sort of few first sort of Wii games I picked up. This was a cash converters in Stourbridge, I think it was. Yes, it was. One of the very first Wii games I managed to grab hold of. 'Cause I'm a bit of a cricket fan, and this game again is so common. I made so many of these. It's dirt cheap everywhere you go. Does it work with the Wii control? I've tried the batting. The batting works as usual with these things. Sort of things. The bowling is not very good. It's not a particularly. It doesn't keep you going. I don't know. I think I prefer the old Brian Lara games, to be honest with you. Having had his motion controls tacked on, and yes, you got commentary on there. You've got the official teams for the 2009 series, which was played in England, which England won. I think 2-1 was it.
Stuart Broad took 6 wickets at the Oval. I guess it was 2009. Jonathan Trott scored a couple hundred, and I was sitting in Evesham camping. Yeah, it's what it is. It's what it is. It's cricket on the Wii. I think it is the only cricket game, international cricket, which came out on the PlayStation 3 didn't make it to the Wii. But I think the Brian Lara games are much better. This game, I understand, is worth an absolute fortune on other systems. It's not on the Wii. This is Asterix at the Olympic Games, which I think was based on a film version of this. I've read the book many, many years ago. I think this was a couple of quid, this one. But I think on the Xbox 360, it's a 20 quid game. It's very difficult to pick up. But again, you can see from the disc there, it's got Asterix at the Olympic Games and then Asterix at something in French. Asterix aux Jeux Olympiques. And there's the back of it. These things never probably work out. I mean, they've done it in a style, I'm guessing, which is very similar to the film. But I've never seen the film. I didn't know there was a film version of this. So, I don't know. It sort of looks like it's a multi-sports game based around it. I'll have to give it a go. But Brutus, a scheming son, emperor of Julius Caesar, has found a way to travel through different dimensions, become ruler of all worlds. And that is not the comic book. For the first time ever, play the roles of Asterix and Obelix together with a friend. Wow. There's a couple of Asterix games, aren't there? Asterix and Double XL, which I've watched gameplays on. There's a couple of Asterix games on the Master System and the Mega Drive, yeah, going back. This is Astro Boy, the video game. Don't know anything about this one. But I understand it's quite a good game. I think there's 2 versions of this. There's Astro Boy on this and the Game Boy Advance one, and this one I think has got the better reputation of the 2. I don't know anything about it. It's actually 12 and above. Well, I think there was a film version, wasn't there, of Astro Boy a few years back. Astro Boy was a cartoon back in the 50s and 60s, I think it was. One of the very first animated cartoons to be aired on British television. But that is the sort of remake. Use all of Astro Boy's powers to save Metro City. Live the movie, become Astro Boy. Nope. Don't know anything about that one. Right, 3 to go, and these are all from the same franchise. And again, you may know more about this myself. Nickelodeon cartoon. Avatar, The Legend of Aang. And this is Into the Inferno. I think this is from The Last Airbender. I think it's is it The Last Airbender? I don't know. There was a film about it a few years ago, which I only found funny because somebody once said this person is a great bender, and I just sort of lost all semblance of reality. So my apologies for that. I really should try and get out more. But yeah, this is a cartoon series on Nickelodeon. I don't know anything about it, I'm afraid. I can't say. I don't think, again, these games are particularly well rated. This is The Burning Earth. Again, they're not particularly... Well, they're all under £1, these 3. Nice art styling on it, so, I'm not going to knock that at all. And there we go, we got the manual. We've got 2 manuals so far with this. That's not too bad. That's a good start. The Earth Kingdom is under attack. So I just don't know enough about these to let you know what they are like. But like I said, they ain't tricky to fuck. And then the last one, which is The Legend of Aang. And again, that comes complete with the manual. Now, you're probably thinking, well, it's called The Legend of Aang, isn't it? Well, it's called Avatar on the side. What's it got on the spine, Retro Bear? I hear you cry. It's got Avatar. Technically, I could be finding that under Nickelodeon, but I'm going to find an Avatar for now. Let's not get into that, shall we? We'll fall out. So that is 0 to 9 and A. And also a brief introduction to my history with the Wii. As we will go through, sometimes you just end up collecting for a system. There's systems everywhere that just sort of relate to you. The Wii is the one that relates to me. I don't know why, it just does. I like other systems more. Would I say the Wii is my favourite system? No, absolutely not. But it's a system I collect most for because it's cheap to collect for it. There is a bottom line, isn't there? But
I just feel an affinity to it, and a lot of people knock it, and I'm not doing it. I'm certainly not picking, collecting the Wii to be cool, because that isn't what I've been doing, and I ain't collecting it because for any other reason. I'm just collecting it because it's a system I do enjoy playing on. And I know some people do enjoy playing. That's why people pick up their own little Wii collections of say 50 to 100 games. I'll pick up the Mario games. I want to play the Mario games on it, and all the first-person shooters, all the Call of Duty ones on there. You've got all the Japanese games on there, the JRPGs. People collect those, and they'll build up a collection of 100 games or so, which is great, because there are some great titles on the Wii. We'll show many great titles. Can't say there's a particularly huge amount in that little run we've had there, but a boy. I'm just looking at reading upside down. A Boy and His Blob, the Angry Bird Star Wars game, Animal Crossing, another Code R, Aqua Panic. I would, Astro Boy. I haven't played it. It's got a good reputation. So there's 6 or 7 games I can certainly recommend off that now. Just doing it. So that's 7. We're off to a good start. I mean, we may get to 100 by the end of it. I don't know. Anyway, my choices may not be yours, but yeah, there's a lot of crap in there as well. Stay tuned for part 2. I'm not sure when that will be up. It'll be up at some point in the future. I'm pretty sure of it. Anyway, thank you very much indeed for watching. I hope you've enjoyed that. There will be more of these to come. Don't forget to check out the other collection videos. Don't check out the other stuff on the channel. Thank you very much indeed for tuning in. This is the Retro Bear saying thank you for your time. This is really appreciated. And I hope you've enjoyed that. More to come. Until we get around to doing that, do take care. See you again very, very soon. Bye for now.